Welcome back into NFL Daily, live once again on this fine Tuesday. I am Tom Downey, producer Chris behind the scenes once again, as we'll have a jam-packed show for you, discussing everything going on around the NFL. And where else can we begin but with the Monday Night Football matchup in which the Giants look completely ridiculous. A bad offensive line. Daniel Jones looks terrible. It's not all his fault, but he's the one getting paid $40 million a year. Is Daniel Jones the answer at quarterback for the Giants? A for yes, B for no. Please vote in the comment section. We'll give some shout-outs. The early results on the pinned poll side of it is 71% say no, which means everyone else says A. Allie Reaper says B. King Lang says, you guys talk bad about my Detroit Lions. Look at us now. Where do we have them in the preseason power rankings? Did we pick them to win the NFC North? Producer Chris says he likes the Lions. I'm going to pull up our preseason rankings. We've definitely talked bad about them before, but not entering the year. We had them as the top-ranked team in the NFC North. And I think they've been better than what people thought they were going to be, which is a good thing. A or B, it's a lot of B's in the comment section. Juan, Shane, all spamming their B's. King Lane says B. Don Burr, who likes to spend time on our Bears channel. I bet Don Burr's having a good time right now. He's a Lions fan on Bears Now. Man, the Bears are bad. The Lions are really good. I bet Don's having a good time right now. Let's see. B, Allie, the Reaper, wants to throw Matt Canada in the fire. You're not wrong. You can say other stuff too, because you're right about that. Christian Lothamir says B. Chance Brown says B. Up to 73% voting that Daniel Jones is not the guy. Our first A, Melvin Morgan says A. Daniel Jones is the answer at quarterback for the New York Football Giants. We'll spend some time on that. Look, it's not all DJ's fault, but he's also been just straight up bad. He's on it, and not only that, outside of being a first-round pick and being a really good mobile player, hasn't really done that much. Outside of that bad Vikings defense in the playoffs, hasn't really if Daniel Jones was a fourth-round pick, I don't think he would have gotten paid the way that he did. Hope he turns it around, but there's a lot of issues right now in New York. Speaking of issues, the Bears have issues. The latest attempt on their front is they're going to try to trade away Chase Claypool. I don't know if anyone wants Chase Claypool right now. I don't think there is a ton of interest in his market. The Bears have sent him home. And then there was, in classic Bears form, because it's been a PR nightmare for them, they said, the head coach says, yeah, we gave him the choice to stay home or go, and he chose to stay. And then it was like, well, actually, no, we sent him home. I didn't realize that. But you're the head coach. You're the one who makes that decision. It's a mess. It's a mess in Chicago. That's going to go down as one of the worst trades in a while, frankly. The decision trade, what ended up being the 32nd overall pick for Chase Claypool, they haven't even gotten a catch per draft pick for him. It's bad. It's bad. He's been a mess over there. People say you should go to the Bills, the Chiefs. I don't know if they want him right now. Maybe they can find a trade partner for a very, very late day 3 pick. But if I'm one of those other teams, I'm like, why do I want him? He's not a high effort blocker. He's big, height, weight, speed guy. But he's had drops issues, allegedly has some off-the-field issues as well. It's not a great time to be the Bears at the moment. So will the Bears find a trade partner? Y for yes, N for no. Evan Hinders, Chance Brown said trade him to Indy. Joshua says the Bills or the Chiefs. Chance and Joshua saying why the Bills will find a trade partner. If they do, I think it's going to be really cheap. And it's going to be we cut our losses on a really, really bad trade decision that did not go our way at all. Maybe a team gambles on him. Maybe if there's a conditional pick involved, we'll take on If he plays so many games, we'll do the pick swap. Otherwise, no. Like, he's bad. Like, it's a bad situation for Chase Claypool in Chicago, and he clearly needs to go elsewhere. I don't know who would actually be justified in giving up a pick for him at this time. Speaking of picks, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. They offer sports beyond football, by the way. Basketball, baseball right now with the MLB postseason underway. And my picks for this upcoming Sunday slate of games, I believe life is too short to take the less than. To give me the more than on Lamar Jackson passing yards. Jalen Waddle is, I would say, shockingly low on the receiving yard side of things. He's under 60 receiving yards, or less than 60 receiving yards, so give me more than that. And give me one Justin Jefferson touchdown. I like those picks this week. And they're giving you a first deposit match up to $100 when you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS for that deposit match. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Again, that is prizepicks.com/CLNS. And use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Now, if you love the NFL, and if you want a shout out right now on today's live show, then type me in the comment section right now. I'll take some water here. Every me that comes in for the next 30-ish seconds to a minute, I'll give a shout out to, because you guys are awesome and we appreciate your support here. Young Noticeable 25, GM Evan Hinders, Shelly Dahlman, Joshua Richardson, Benicio Canada, hopefully no relation to Matt Canada right now. TKG, High Voltage, that's a fun, I assume Chargers fan, that's a fun name. Rick Parker, Big Jim Slade, Benicio Canada again, The Black Box, Ivy G, Brian Garrison, Andy Potts. I'll try to pronounce that one, Andy, so my apologies if I got it wrong. It's always a guess when you only see the name, and it's not a last name I've seen before. Chris Picard says me. Chance Brown says me. I'll give you guys another couple seconds here to get those me's in. Andre Jackson, King Lane 231. Andy said I got it right. Thank you. Young says to hit the like button soon. Soon, Young, but you can do it now. Christian Lothamer. I'm not sure, Christian. Sorry. King Lang 231 as well. So I think that's everyone who at least wanted the shout out. If one comes in here, I'll get caught up. The NFL trade deadline, meanwhile, is less than a month away. In fact, 4 weeks from today, we'll be at it. Tuesday, October 31st. That's right. It's a Halloween trade deadline, which will be, I'm sure, interesting. Christian, I got it the first time. Darn. Should have trusted my gut. There were actually a lot of trades last year. In a league that historically does not feature very many trades, we'll bump our over-under up, what we've seen in the past. Over or under 10.5 trades. And there's always someone who goes, well, how can there be 10.5? Exactly. So there are no ties. Either 10 or fewer, 11 or more. Over or under. Of course, it's O or U in the comments section. Melvin Morgan wants a shout out to. I got you, Melvin. Shelly says U. XD Gamer says over, and the Jags get offensive line. The tricky part about offensive line trades, who's available? It's a lot of teams that would love some offensive line help. Pretty much almost every contender would be like, yeah, I'd love to get a better 6th or 7th offensive lineman, worst case in there, or maybe best case from that perspective. Like, there are not many good players who are available on the offensive line market. You know, maybe Denver shops Garrett Bowles, but Saints would give up Andres Pete, but he's not very good. It's a tricky situation there for offensive line trades. Christian says under. Hopefully, JT stays a Colt. Alona says over. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one, actually. Shelly Benico wants a Saints need an OC. Yeah. XD Gamer says Robert Hunt or David Bakhtiari. Yeah, but Hunt starts for the Dolphins. So I don't think a contender is going to trade him away. Bakhtiari, unfortunately, is hurt, and it might be for the... Otherwise, that would have been a good name. That would have been a good name otherwise, I suspect. Rusty also wants a shout-out as well. Now, our goals are pretty straightforward here at NFL Daily. 50% like rate is the number we're always aiming for. Now, we got about 80 watching live right now, and we have about 20 likes. So roughly need to double that. We'll round it down, and we'll say we have to get to 35 likes. That's it. Every single person watching right now, if you like the video, we will blow past that figure and be in fantastic shape. Yes, Melvin, Cowboys did sign a linebacker. You can check out our Cowboys channel. I posted a short on that. It's a practice squad linebacker. Not really that drastic, but yeah, they did sign Mikael Jones. So like that video, can we get to the 35 likes to be around that 50% rate? I think it'd be pretty cool. The reason why we ask for the likes, right? It helps us grow. That's how we expand and add more studio space. People get mad at it, but every time we ask for the likes, we get more of them, and that helps us. It's simple, it's free, it's easy, and it allows us to continue to grow and expand the studio space here at Chat Sports. So every time you watch a show, please like it. We appreciate it. Here's what's coming up on today's live edition of NFL Daily. Latest NFL news and rumors. The updated Mel Kiper big board. He put out a new one. The first update was mostly, not entirely, but mostly to get Shedeur Sanders in there. We also have our mailbag. There are two ways to get on the show. You can either super chat, skip the line altogether, or just use hashtag NFL to get on the line there. So Chris, others, I see some questions in there. Use hashtag NFL, otherwise producer Chris can't find your questions. You can put them up on screen. We'll also run through 10 big-time trade candidates with the trade deadline roughly 1 month away. All that's coming up live right now here on NFL Daily. Here's what's coming up on today's show. We've got the Chase Claypool trade, if that's going to happen for the Chicago Bears. Multiple NFL injury updates on the more notable players, and 5 big takeaways from Week 4, some of which are not exactly the most positive ones. Let's begin with Chase Claypool out in Chicago. The Bears in kind of a indication of how much of a cluster the organization is right now. I was trying to find the right word and not be too mean. I'll go with cluster. The Bears had said they, let it up to Claypool. You want to stay home or go home or not, whatever. And then the clarified, actually, no, we told him to stay home, type of deal. It has been a mess of a situation. They've gone back and forth on what's really going on with Claypool. I think finally, intentional or not, Matt Eberflus has given the inside info there. But Claypool's been a disaster trade for Chicago. The number 32 overall pick they gave up for him, and the end result has been very minimal play. And now he's being told, you know what, don't come to the building. We're going to try to trade you. They allegedly want a 5th or a 6th rounder for him. And Claypool's the height, weight, speed guy. I get it. And the Bears are dysfunctional, but I think we know what's going on here based on this answer from Matt Eberflus. Asked, hey, why is he inactive? Why is he not there? Whatever. It comes down to this. When you're evaluating players in meetings, in practice, in walkthroughs, all those things, it's important that you evaluate the entire body of work, right? And we just feel right now Chase is going to be out of the building. It's best for our football team. That's not good. I read that, and maybe you guys read it differently. I read that as it's effort-based. He's become kind of a problem in the locker room. That's not a good thing for any NFL team. Now, the Bears entered this year going, man, we got DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Tyler Scott, who should be playing a lot more, by the way. They traded they drafted a 3rd-round pick in Velus Jones. They have EQ St. Brown. Now Claypool's out of there. Like it's not a good situation for Claypool, who has caught 18 of his 43 targets in Chicago for 191 yards, finally got a score, but has now been benched. That was the 32nd overall pick was given up for Chase Claypool. That's the type of pick you give up for someone who can play regardless if the quarterback's been elite or not, right? It's an all-time bad trade. Not the worst trade ever. There have been worse ones, but it's up there, man. Might be one of the worst ones in Bears history, at least. And I don't know if anyone really wants Chase Claypool. I get that there's the potential talent, right? But there's nothing Claypool's done in years now that should make you want him. Now, maybe a team will give up a 5th or a 6th round pick or a 7th rounder, and the Bears cut their costs, and team tries out the lottery pick. But that is a very, very real red flag, and why I don't have much interest in him if I ran an NFL team somehow. So will the Bears trade Chase Claypool? Y for yes, N for no. It'll be today's pinned comment if the ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage. Head down there and go vote. All right, some NFL injury news for you guys, and not much of it's positive. Dolphins offense tackle Teron Armstead will miss quote-unquote weeks, not days. After knee injury against the Bills, that's not great for Miami. They'll turn to some backups, hope they bounce back after a not great showing for the first time all year in Week 4. The Patriots now down perhaps their 2 best defensive players, maybe 2 of the top 3 if you want to put Kyle Duggar in there. Matthew Judon is going to miss at least 2 months. Christian Gonzalez is out indefinitely. Massive blows after a horrible loss in Week 4. The Deshaun Watson situation is also very interesting. Kevin Stefanski, Browns head coach, revealed that Watson had been medically cleared to play, but did not feel that he could play against the Ravens. And I don't know if that's just Stefanski being honest, like, hey, Deshaun knows his body, we trust him there. Or if he's like, yeah, Deshaun could have played, but it didn't want to. Maybe he needed some more massages. I don't know. It's just a unique, just an asterisk to keep an eye on for with Watson, given that he needs to play very, very well for the Browns to have success. As good as that defense is, they need him on offense. Kenny Pickett, meanwhile, has a bone bruise and a muscle strain in his knee. Now, Pickett has a chance to play this week. I think the bigger issue for Pittsburgh is probably offensive coordinator Matt Canada. But if Pickett can't go, it'll be Mitchell Trubisky at the helm this upcoming week. Takeaways from Week 4 coming up next. They're all made possible by Prize Picks. My big takeaway, I did not hit my selections this week, but that's okay because I have a $100 deposit match because I used code CLNS over at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then hopefully watch the winnings roll in. My picks this week, I've got more than Lamar Jackson passing yards. That figure, by the way, seems suspiciously low. It's down there at 210.5. Jalen Waddle, more than 10.5 receiving yards. Justin Jefferson, just 1 touchdown. All I need. They're playing the Chiefs. They're going to have to throw it. I feel actually kind of pretty good about that one. Again, folks, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. Week 4 storyline number 1. We got to talk about Daniel Jones and the Giants, folks. We really do. I'll preface this by saying it is not all Daniel Jones' fault. The offensive line is injured. It's not playing well. But enter the area, better receiving core. They're going to be better. Daniel Jones has not been better, folks. He's actually lucky he's only lost 1 fumble. In theory, you'd guess your fumble loss rate is around 50%, right? 25% for DJ. He's making bad decisions. He's not seeing the field well. He's taking sacks too. His offensive line is bad, don't get me wrong. But sacks are at least in part a quarterback stat. And he's bailing on clean pockets. He's holding the ball too long when he knows offensive line is bad. Daniel Jones does not look very good. Advanced metric here. EPA per play. This is expected points added. It's one of the more, I think one of the better NFL advanced stats. Now, I will make note, it is at least a little bit an offensive stat. Like, if you throw the ball to the wide receiver and it bounces off their chest and it's picked off, which does happen, unfortunately, that's a negative play for Daniel Jones or whatever quarterback it would happen to. Sacks, they don't blame the offline. It goes against the quarterback there. So it is at least a little bit of an offensive stat, although DJ is a $40 million quarterback in charge of the offense. He's dead last in EPA per play. For reference of the number of plays that Daniel Jones has had this year, negative 44.5. That is the point value added from plays involving Daniel Jones. Not all his fault. It's not. The receivers can do better. Coaching can do better. Offensive line can do better. But negative 44.5 is a shocking figure. And it is a real problem. Like that pick six against Devin Witherspoon, like that's a good example of why I like EPA. It's not just, minus 3 points you lost. You gave him 6 too. At that puts like a minus 9, minus 10 EPA, because in theory you should be able to get points on that drive itself. That was on Daniel Jones. Hold on to the football when he gets sacked. Don't get fumbled. It's not a good quarterback group to be involved with right there so far. So is Daniel Jones the guy at quarterback for the Giants? This was the most obvious franchise tag decision in NFL history. Tag Daniel Jones, make him prove it. We would have said, at least you didn't commit to him when the offensive line is bad. Well, now you have, and that's scary. A for yes, B for no. Number 2 storyline. You saw Desmond Ridder on that list, right? Yeah, he ain't it either. The Falcons have, although it's a bad fantasy offense, the offense itself is actually pretty well designed, and there's talent. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. The O-line, especially when run blocking, is pretty darn good. There's Drake London. There's Kyle Pitts. Jonnu Smith's had a rejuvenated season to a certain extent. Matt Collins is like the 5th option on the offense. It's actually pretty solid. But Desmond Ridder, at least for now, is holding back this offense. If the Falcons had Kirk Cousins, they'd be the NFC South favorites right now. I would argue by a pretty good margin. The Falcons have to see more from Ridder and soon, or it's probably time to give Taylor Heineke a shot, which is not a great idea, but that's where you're at. If you guys love daily NFL coverage, you've come to the right spot. Hit that sub button for more free videos each and every single day. It is time, my friends, to hit the panic button on the Cincinnati Bengals. Things, simply put, are not going well. And it's not just this, but Joe Burrow's bad right now. Joe Burrow, this is the worst he's probably ever been the past 6 years, even to some of his Ohio State days. Like, right now, Joe Burrow, the calf is a problem. The Bengals can't run under center stuff where they don't want to. He can't move in the pocket. And the things that made Burrow and the Bengals offense work, those minute pocket manipulations where he steps and slides and moves around and gets the ball out quick and can scramble, avoid, and buy some time. The easy buttons of the Bengals offense were Joe Burrow. And when Joe Burrow's not good, the Bengals offense collapses. But it's also the defense. The defense is bad right now. The Bengals are broken. They're 1-3. Their season is teetering on the edge. If it was just Burrow playing bad, okay. Higgins is hurt. He's had drops. The running game has not been utilized properly. I don't think Zach Taylor's called a great game. The defense can't stop the run. There's a lot of problems in Cincinnati. They can get it fixed. They did it last year. Man, they're kind of out of time. So what is your panic level over the Bengals? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. It's 1, of course, on the low end, 10 on the high end. Let's give some credit here to the Buffalo Bills. After all, no one circles the wagons quite like them. The Bills were bad in week 1. It was the ugly Josh Allen game. 4 turnovers in that game alone. Since then, 38-10 win over a bad Raiders team. 37-3 win over a maybe back-end playoff team in the Commanders, and a 48-20 win over the Miami Dolphins, who we were all very excited by. Bills are playing great football right now. Tip of the cap to them. Finally, I'm going to call out some other members of NFL media. There are people out there, fans too, but you're fans. It's fine. You get to be fanatics. That's what fan is short for. That are, for some reason, very bothered and upset by the attention being paid by the NFL to Taylor Swift. So, background, the NFL changed their bio on Twitter, I think Instagram too, to stuff involving Taylor Swift. And that got all the aggregators, all those losers like Dov, etc. They were Dov bros, I like to call them. They were all triggered online. Like, whoa, what are they? How dare they? Like, weird gatekeeping. Because apparently football isn't for the Swifties. It's fine. Who cares? Also, the NFL, for those of you that don't know, they change their bio all the time. Like, after each game, every week, big primetime thing happens, they tend to change the bio to have some fun. Because social media is a marketing tool. That's all it is. The NFL is using a marketing tool for the biggest story right now. It's Taylor Swift. It's not a bad thing. Like, the weird gatekeeping that's gone on does not make sense to me. You just ignore it. Literally, no one makes you click into the bio. You have to physically do that. It just blows my mind. All right, best team in the NFL right now. Who is it? I'll give some shout-outs after I sip some water. Best team in the NFL. First one to say gets a shout-out. Niners from Eric Burton and Logan Crothers. They were our number one team. Not quite unanimous. One voter, always one. But the Niners were number one in our power rankings. It's on the channel. Seahawks, Cowboys, Dolphins, Cowboys, Niners. Let's see here. We've got Niners again, Cowboys, Philly. Kind of surprised it's down to get an Eagles answer. Should be the Niners or Eagles. Should be one of those two teams. They're the only undefeated teams in the NFL. Seahawks, Saints. Not sure I agree with some of these in there. Bucks. Bucks have been playing well. I'll give them that. Keep it coming. Best team in the NFL, Chargers/Bills. So I think we have our homer answer and our actual answer. Micah maybe best defensive player, but he's not the best team. Niners in there again. I would go 49ers as well. You can argue what best is. Is it power rankings based? Is it like, something else based? I think there's some arguments in there. The Astros. It says NFL, though. I've not watched any playoff baseball today. You guys can tell me how it's going on there. Chiefs. We'll probably come back to somehow the Chiefs are best team again in the season. Would not be a surprise to me if that's how it went down. Keep the comments coming. Best team in the NFL. Today's NFL Daily, a look at the latest Mel Kiper NFL Draft Big Board, is made possible by Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping on all their top-of-the-line men's grooming products for both below the waist and above the chin at manscaped.com/chat. Use promo code chat. If you guys love the NFL Draft, before we get into the latest Mel Kiper Big Board, show me you do by liking today's video. More likes equals more NFL Draft videos for you guys. No surprise here. At number one, it is Caleb Williams, the USC quarterback. Frankly, it'd be a little bit weird, I think. There's some who think Drake May could potentially be quarterback one. I like May, but I disagree with that particular statement. I think it's very clearly Caleb Williams. Now, maybe you saw the claim, I think it was more of a troll tweet on social media saying Caleb Williams is not going to go pro. He says he's going to come back to USC and then pick his team. Not true. His dad has opened up the door of like maybe he doesn't want to play at a certain spot. Go back home. Will Caleb Williams go pro at the end of the season? I almost went with why for yes. He's going to turn pro. He could always demand a trade, not go to the same team if he wanted to. I think there's no chance he goes back to USC. But this is America. I believe in democracy. What do you think? Get those votes in the comments section. No change at 1 or 2 here. Marvin Harrison, the Ohio State wide receiver. It's like if Marvin Harrison had a kid who was bigger than him. He's 4 inches taller than his dad, which is so unfair. How do you get to be the son of one of the greatest wide receivers ever, but they made you taller? That's just not fair. All right, Drake May up 1 spot. The first change on Mel's big board out of UNC. I like Drake May. I think he's holding up well with some of his top playmakers gone. Josh Downs didn't get Devontae Walker in there. A little high on some of the turnovers. Got to clean those up. There's some of the, some Josh Allen moments where he just gets a little bit too reckless, but he is quarterback 2 for me, so I'm fine with this one for May. My guy Olu Fashanu at number 4 out of Penn State. They flip spots. Look, Olu continues to be, I think it would have been the first tackle drafted last year. I think it would have gone before Paris Johnson Jr. did. By the way, he does not turn 21 until December. That is imagine where he's going to be in 4 years when some counterparts are the same age he is when they're seniors. It's going to be, take him early and be happy. Shedeur Sanders is number 5. Now, this is not a change. Mel updated his big board, which predominantly was to get Sanders in there. Mel said some interesting things, just in terms of what he thinks of Sanders. Called him a guaranteed future first-round pick, which we don't use the word guaranteed he did this in September because that's a whole year to go. They said Spencer Rattler was a guaranteed first-round pick, and he's still in college. Sanders, I like him a lot, though. He's got the quick release, great deep ball, solid size, can maybe add some more frame, very productive behind a not great offensive line. If he goes pro, he might not go pro, by the way. He could actually try to become the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 class. I think he's worth an early first-round pick. So will he be a top 10 pick in this upcoming NFL draft? A for yes, B for no. It's the pinned comment on today's show. If the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage, head down there, and go vote. Number 6, Rome Odunze out of Washington, up from number 13. Every time I watch Michael Penix, who I like, by the way, I come away with, man, Odunze's so good. It's another very quality receiver class. Odunze certainly in that conversation. All right, Brock Bowers, number 7. He dropped a spot. Tight end value is very, unclear. We'll see how the draft board falls, but did we watch him against Auburn? He was so good. He torched them. Treat him as a playmaker, and I think he should be the second offensive playmaker behind Marvin Harrison Jr. Joe Alt, number 8, thought he held up really well against Ohio State. Good litmus test game for him. Big body, listed at 6'8", 315. Not sure he's quite that big, but hey, that's okay. His dad was a first-round pick, by the way. He will be too. It's a great class for sons of NFL players, isn't it? All right, number 9, Dallas Turner out of Alabama. Sometimes Bama drops him into coverage a bit too much for my blood, but as an undersized edge, he's listed at 6'4". He might be a bit closer to 6'3.5", maybe. 242. He actually holds up pretty well in the run game. He's like a slightly bigger version of Nolan Smith in that regard and offers some really great athletic ability and pressure potential. Today's show is made possible by Manscaped. They have taken a step up from Balloween, get it, to bring your face the cleanest shave it's ever seen with the all-new Handyman. It is the best way to get rid of that stubble if you don't like it. Compact design, next-gen skin-safe technology. The Handyman was designed to give you the smooth finish without the mess of a traditional shave. If you're tired of a bad razor making your neck look like that of a scary movie, the Handyman's skin-safe technology helps reduce nicks and cuts, and you can finally feel confident when going for that close shave. It is for wet or dry use, so you can bring it anywhere and use it anywhere. Get 20% off and free shipping with code CHAT, C-H-A-T, over at manscaped.com/chat. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Malik Neighbors next up here. He's number 10 on the list. He's a fast player. Again, it's a very good wide receiver class. He's up 10 spots, by the way, which I find very interesting. Also worth mentioning quickly here, by the way, Dallas Turner, the lone defensive player in the top 10 in this year's big board for Mel, which I do think is probably descriptive of the actual class. His teammate Kool-Aid McKinstry is number 9 on the list. He's not the same like quick twitch athlete, like deep speed, but I think he's a really good cover guy. So I like those corners. And in a not great defensive class, no complaints about him being number 11. Drazon Newton, he's not going to be for everyone. He's not the biggest defensive tackle, but if you want some disruption, which I crave at DT, Newton offers that. You can make a very real argument that Keon Coleman should be higher than wide receiver 4 on this list. He's got some great body control adjustment catches that he's able to make for FSU. It is very telling that Jaden Reed was a high draft pick, Keon Coleman a predicted high pick at transferring to FSU, and Michigan State had a bad offense. That's a quarterback play, baby. All right, J.C. Latham out of Alabama. The Bama O-line has not been great, but I think right tackle Latham actually has been very good. I think he's behind Joe Alt for me. I think there's maybe even one more tackle you could put in over him, not on this list, but I like what I've seen from Latham this year. Another quarterback, Quinn Ewers, who helped his stock tremendously against Auburn or Alabama. If he had not played well that game, if he had not boosted his stock by actually hitting some deep balls, we would not be talking about him on this list. That was a massive game for Texas, of course, and for Quinn Ewers' draft stock. Now, footwork it can be different. Like, I hate Aaron Rodgers' footwork. I don't like it, but it works for him, and that's what matters. I hate Quinn Ewers' footwork. It mostly works for him. It's a bit more of in the eye of the user, I'll call it. But some inconsistencies do arise from that for Ewers. Now, if you enjoy our NFL draft coverage, you have come to the right spot. Hit that sub button right now for more free videos each and every single day. Laiatu Latu out of UCLA, who I like a lot. He has been incredibly disruptive this year. He was incredibly disruptive last year. It might not be like for everyone, maybe, but I think you can make an argument that the best edge rusher right now in college is Latu. And in fact, I think I would make that argument. Jared Verse was supposed to be the best edge rusher in college this year, and he's still got plenty of talent, and I'm not going to ding him too hard, but he had 9 sacks last year. He goes back to school, was going to be probably a top 20-ish pick, has a half sack this year. Sacks aren't everything, but I need to see him up his play to be a top 10 pick and not just kind of a mid-ish, late-ish round 1 guy. Kalen King, my kind of corner. I don't mind it if my corners are smaller. King certainly is, but he's aggressive. He got that dog in him. My corner has to have that dog in him, or else they're going to get mentally, run over. Riley Leonard. Now, the ankle injury hopefully is not season-ending. The easy comp is Daniel Jones, but it actually does work because they went to Duke. He's actually a better runner than he is thrower right now. Needs some development in terms of timing on his routes, touch throws. Kind of sounds like Daniel Jones. Will have, if healthy, a probably similar-ish grade. I do think 19 is too high for Riley, though. Too low is my guy from Iowa, Cooper DeJean, who literally beat Michigan State by himself, basically. He offers return value. He can play, I think, any defensive spot in the secondary. This is a fantastic football player who I think really does deserve some more love. Who is your favorite player in the 2024 NFL Draft? Not best, but favorite. Sound off for me in the comments section. Our first new player in the list, Chris Jenkins, whose dad was also an NFL player and was actually an NFL All-Pro. Same name, by the way. The numbers don't pop necessarily like a lot of Michigan players tend to do, but he does a lot of the key dirty work. He's a very good football player in a very good defensive line class. Jordan Morgan, he should be in here, by the way. Has had a pretty solid season this year. Did get hurt last year with the ACL tear in his right knee, so medicals will be key, but Big boy, 6'5", 325. I like those big linemen. Emeka Egbuka up one spot from 24. Look, Harrison's better. We know that. But Abuka's no slouch either. Bo Nix at 24. Okay, I think we've gone a little bit heavy on the quarterbacks here, Mel. I personally have a difficult time thinking 6 quarterbacks will be top 24 picks. Like, big board is not picks, but quarterbacks get boosted up in value. Do we really like that? If there's a quarterback that's 24th on your board and you're at 10 or you're at 15, you're gonna take them. That you have to do that. I don't think we're going to have 6 quarterbacks go in the top 15. It'd be fun, though. And Bo Nix has been better, by the way. Not anti-Bo Nix, just I think maybe 54 is a better spot for him. So how many quarterbacks go in round 1 of the 2024 NFL Draft? 1 or 2 minimum, probably. 3, 4, 5? Does it get 6? Sound off in the comments. I like seeing Leonard Taylor make his first appearance on this list. That is the defensive tackle out of Miami. Offers a lot of potentially explosive plays on the DT. Still needs some work a little bit, some polish like most interior D-line guys do, but he's got the traits that you covet. All right, 5 players that I think Mel left off his list. Now, he did not put Amarius Mims on his offensive tackle or offensive line list, period. He's banged up right now. I think that is a significant miss. He is too good to not be on there. He did not have Chop Robinson either on his list at all either. He had the other Penn State defensive end. Again, I think that's a significant miss from Mel. He did have Nate Wiggins 4th among corners, so hat tip there. Had Denzel Burke on his tied for 6th list. He had 4 guys tied at 6. Lame. He does have Cameron Richardson as the number 1 safety, but I think he's at least worth mentioning as a potential top 25 player. It's quality draft class. I'm excited to see who else emerges. There's always somebody down the stretch here. A lot of guys that we in media have not gotten to. Looking forward to see who else ends up on this list closer and closer to the NFL draft. All right, Sunday Night Football this week, folks, is going to be an awesome one. Who do you have winning? C for the Cowboys, 4 for the 49ers. As host of the Cowboys Report, I've not yet made my prediction. My current inclination is to stick with my preseason one, which is Niners win. I thought they'd be 3-1 at this point. They didn't get there the way I thought they were going to, but I did think that they'd be 3-1. The Niners are a 3.5-point favorite, which I think seems about right. I think it'll be a lower scoring game. You know, that 24-20-ish range. Makes a lot of sense to me. These teams are really good. The defenses are really good. The Niners, I think, have been the most complete team in football so far this year. They're number 1 in my personal power rankings as well. The Cowboys could have been in that conversation had they not laid an egg against Arizona, but you laid an egg in 25% of your games. That kind of pulls you down there. Mostly 4s. Chris Picard, Young Noticeable, Shelley, Gene Wolfe, Evan Hinders. High voltage, Melvin Morgan say C, however. So keep the comments coming and get your questions in right now for our upcoming NFL mailbag. 2 ways to get on the show here. Number 1 is to use hashtag NFL. That gets you in the queue. It allows producer Chris to find your question, whatever it may be, and bring it up on screen. Otherwise, the question gets lost and Chris actually can't find it. It does not go into our funnel because, you know, we don't want to make Chris look through 18 4s in a row to try to find one question. It's just not a good idea. So get your questions in via hashtag NFL, or if you want a guarantee of your question being answered on the show, Super Chat. Any and all Super Chats, of course, are welcome. So get your questions in right now, hashtag NFL or via Super Chat. First question on today's NFL mailbag. I am Tom Downey, by the way. We've got Cameron Briglin. Who is your early Super Bowl 58 matchup? I've got Bills versus Niners. That is a classic Chris Berman projection, but it actually makes sense this year for Chris Berman to pick that one. I like the Bills pick. I think Bills Niners, if you had to rank your most likely outcomes, least like my favorite ones that aren't Chiefs again. Teams, I think you're looking at options like in the AFC, maybe the Bengals figure it out. I kind of doubt it from that perspective. Maybe the NFC, Eagles, Niners, and the Cowboys certainly stand out significantly. All right, next question. GM Evan Hinders. Patrick Seatman would be a better head coach than Josh McDaniels. That is Patrick, host of our Vikings channel. Pretty sure Evans is a Vikings fan, by the way. Would be a better head coach than McDaniels. McDaniels is bad, man. He's not good. And the Raiders don't seem to have a plan. Like last year, run with Josh Jacobs. This year, he's averaging under 3 yards a carry. I'm really not sure what the process is going to be for them moving forward. All right, from Sam, who spelled it Samuel. Anyway. Should the Bears trade Justin Fields to the Falcons? Like you've been watching Bears Now or Falcons Today, that was mentioned by ESPN as well. From the Falcons' perspective, I think it'd be a lot of fun to see him in that offense. Like, I think he'd have the ability to be a much better fit. Like, I think Arthur Smith could maximize him as a playmaking option at quarterback. The Bears, though, don't really have much benefit for trading him right now. They're going to play Nathan Peterman. Tyson Baden's a fun story, but you're not going to play him. And if the Bears trade Fields right now, the GM and head coach are getting fired. That's not going to save their jobs. So it's fun for the Falcons. The Bears' best plan, pretty straightforward, is to let Justin Fields show what, if anything, he can do going forward. Fair to question it, but give him the year. And if not, you're going to have 2 early first-round picks, it seems like. So is Justin Fields the Bears' future franchise quarterback? Y for yes, N for no. It's the pinned comment on today's show, so if that ad plays here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. XD Gamer 22. Who should go all in the trade deadline? Who is the team and what would they get? I am a believer, by the way, that a little bit of desperation can be a good thing to help put you over the edge. A team like Miami is kind of already all in, but they have a cheap quarterback. I think the most obvious answer, honestly, isn't it the Chargers? That head coach and GM, if they miss the playoffs this year, I think they're going to get fired. The Browns, kind of in a similar boat. So those teams that aren't like the same obvious level of contender as a Bills or a Chiefs or a Niners or an Eagles or whatever, but those teams are already in really good shape, they should be extra aggressive to try to get themselves into a better spot. A super chat from Benicio, Canada. Who wins the NFC South? Panthers are 0-4. Let's cross them off the list. I am not going to rule out the 2-2 Saints or the 2-2 Falcons, although both teams have almost identical point differentials. 62-77 against 62-76. That's super funny, by the way. They have to get their offenses figured out. The Saints' offense has not been that great. Their defense is good, or better, I should say. Even the point differential might not show it. I'm going to lean Tampa, though. The Baker Mayfield FU tour is continuing in Tampa. I'm not sure that I have immense confidence in any of those 3 teams, certainly not Carolina at 0-4, but I'll lean Tampa in what will be maybe like a 9-win, 10-win division winner, I think, when it's all said and done. Today's edition of NFL Daily is made possible by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, like the pros and the sharks, etc., you just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then watch the winnings roll in. It's really simple to play. You can make your picks, submit your entry in less than 60 seconds, and you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. You've got a vast section of sports and stat types not offered anywhere else. You can even do in-game projections once the game is started, like, second half, you take more than Tony Pollard rushing yards or whatever. Here are my picks for this upcoming slate of games. No Thursday games included, by the way. Give me Lamar Jackson more than 210.5 passing yards. Steelers have a great defense, but that seems low for Lamar after watching C.J. Stroud kind of have his way against the Steelers. Jalen Waddle against the lowly Giants. Now, you need some big plays early, I think, to get this number. More than 59.5 receiving yards. And Justin Jefferson, more than half touchdown. So 1 touchdown scored against the Chiefs. I love that matchup for Jefferson. You can also go the power play, which is got to hit 3 out of 3. You win 5x. Or you can do the flex play. You still get 2.25 if you hit all 3. If you only get 2 right instead of losing, you get 1.25x your wager there. So head over to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Again, folks, that's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for the first deposit match up to $100. It's the most exciting way to play DFS. Chris Picard, what is the chance the Seahawks trade Tyler Lockett for a bag? I don't like it, but I can see it happening. I don't think that's much of a mid-season move that you'd see happen. Yes, the Seahawks have Jackson Smith in Jigba. Yes, the Seahawks have DK Metcalf. That's all great. But you want to have those options when you yourself are a legitimate playoff contender. Now, after this year, you can trade that contract and that deal if you want to. I'm not sure what bag he'd get entering his age 32 season. Then again, Chase Claypool went for a second, so who really knows? But I don't think the Seahawks will trade Lockett right now. From Andy, how could you pick those 40 whiners over our boys? So background, I am the Cowboys Board host, those of you who do not know. The Niners have owned Dallas, though, the past 2 years. I want the Cowboys to win, but taking away the fandom, I think the Niners are favored for a reason. Austin Jones, is Caleb Williams going to skip the draft and pick his team next year? No. There's been a lot of out-of-pocket claims, including some from Caleb's dad. Going back to school does not benefit Caleb Williams. It does not. Yes, NIL money's awesome. Do you know what the signing bonus is for the first overall pick? It's like $25 million. So no, you're not turning down $25 million and getting to your second, likely, potentially $70 million a year contract a year later. That doesn't make any sense. Now, he might try to force his way to a team or two and not want to go to this one particular spot. That hasn't happened in a long time. But he's not going to go back to USC. It makes no sense for him to do so. So who will draft Caleb Williams? Maybe it ends up being the Bears instead of those 2 early first-round picks. Sound off for me in the comment section right now. Daniel Moriarty, the Cowboys should make an all-in move this year. They have the roster to compete, and they can still build for the future. Which player or players should Dallas go after in a trade? If you can find an offensive lineman, Garrett Bowles, I don't know if Denver would shop him or if Dallas wants him. That's the thing that stands out to me. If there's an injury, go replace them. If you can find an impact linebacker, there's no Roquan available right now. Maybe another corner if you have some anxiety about Jordan Lewis or something. But I would love an offensive lineman, as I've been saying for a while now. XD Gamer 22. Should the Bengals consider rebuilding if they lose Sunday? Rebuild? No. Should they consider selling at the trade deadline? Yes. Now, you're not going to go on into a full-fledged rebuild when you have Joe Burrow. You just paid Joe Burrow. That doesn't make sense for the organization. You have plenty of money tied up. But the pieces that you were going to keep this year to win football games and let walk in the offseason, maybe those guys you shop. That could be Tyler Boyd. That could be a DJ Reader. That could be a Chidobe Awuzie. That could be a T. Higgins. Now, Higgins maybe you hold on to and try and tag and trade. But if the Bengals drop this one, and maybe even the one after that, and Burrow's just not right, you got to shut him down or whatever, Jake Browning ain't going to win you jack. So what you do is at least consider selling off some of your short-term assets. Keep your long-term ones and try to get a premium draft pick. That's what I would do. We're going to have free and daily NFL content all throughout the 2023 NFL season for you guys here at Chat Sports. So make sure you are subscribed. John McQueen, Texans trading for DT Chris Jones before the deadline? No. He's back in Kansas City. He's playing football games, and the Chiefs need him to win a championship. If Mahomes goes down, knock on wood, that does not happen, then okay, maybe. But right now, no. From Patrick, should the Raiders trade away Davante Adams if they keep losing? I could very much see Davante Adams getting angry and saying, I don't want to be here anymore. Get me out of Dodge. Trade me somewhere I can go win games. Adams wants a ring. At his age, I get it. And he wanted to play with Derek Carr in Vegas, and they dumped Derek Carr. I think there is some frustration there. He and Josh Jacobs both unhappy. Who can blame them? But he could be asking for a trade. That's a good name to monitor here moving forward. So name a player who you want to see traded. Any player that you've got in mind out there on the open market that are inconceivably somewhat realistic, drop that player name for me in the comments section. If we did not get to your questions here on the show, you can always hit me up on Twitter. My DMs are open at WhatGoingDowney. Slide on in with any questions you guys have. All right, if you guys want to shout out right now, type me in the comment section. Type me if you want a shout out. We'll give shout outs to those of you who actually do it in the next minute-ish. We won't just sit here waiting for people to comment. Clayton Lockhart, first one. Congratulations, my friend. Thank you for typing in me as well. Charles Woods says me, damn, Clayton got 2 in. Clayton is fully on that live. He's got no latency right now. Charles Woods says me. Edu David says me. Rashard Lee says me. Also wants Patrick Surtain for a first rounder. Got to add more picks. 1 first does not get it done. Frankly, it's probably not even close to getting it done. Tubi says me. XD Gamer. Daniel Moriarty also saying me's in there. I'll give another 30 or maybe 15 seconds, see if anyone else gets their comments in here. XD Gamer, did you see the Toy Story game? I did watch a little bit of it. I wanted to see if Olivia enjoyed it. She didn't seem to care very much. She seems to like actual football a little bit more. We were about 5 minutes in. She starts asking for Moana because she loves Moana. It's fine. I think it's kind of funny. In a way, you're kind of getting bodied by Toy Story if you play poorly. This is kind of funny. Also, shout out to Steve H. and the lone super chatter today, Benicio Canada. Hopefully I'm pronouncing Benico. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, hard C or soft C, Mr. Canada. But appreciate your support here on the Cowboys Report. I don't know why I said Cowboys Report. It's clearly on NFL Daily, by the way. I just want to acknowledge that briefly because, what the hell am I doing? Honestly, I saw Charles Wood say Dallas, and I did that. So that's me being dumb. Sorry, guys. All right, today's show is made possible by NFL Daily. I did it again. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. Kind of a mess. Reset. Oh, Benicio says Ben Nico. That actually does make more sense for his name. Ben Nico. This edition of NFL Daily is presented by Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping on all of their men's grooming products by going to manscaped.com and using promo code chat at manscaped.com/chat. All right, let's get to some top trade candidates, the stars who could maybe be moved this year before the roughly a month away NFL trade deadline. Jonathan Taylor, got to have this conversation again off the top, right? Makes sense. Taylor seems like he's going to be back at practice this week. We'll find out more in the very near future. He wants a new deal. Colts said no. Are they all fine and dandy for the time being? Who knows? But teams probably have interest if the Colts drop their asking price because Taylor, when healthy, is one of the better backs in the NFL. He was not as good last year. It was banged up. The team in Indy wasn't very good either, which is certainly, worth mentioning there. But Taylor is a player to consider. He's been in trade rumors for so long, has to be mentioned early on. Now, maybe Taylor does or doesn't get dropped. Name a player who you think ends up getting traded this year. Any player, any team, Drop it in the comment section right now. Denver might have beaten the Bears, but that doesn't mean they're in position to be viewed as a contender. So trading away Jerry Jeudy, who is entering the final year of his deal, actually makes a lot of sense for the Broncos. Jeudy had a better 2022 campaign. He was better. It was a very slow start to that season, and there were a lot of trade rumors around him last time. And honestly, had Chase Claypool not been moved for a second, and that led to the higher asking price for Jeudy, maybe he would have been moved after all. Did not materialize. Slow-ish start this year. We'll see. I also misspoke. He actually has the 5th-year option next year on his contract. My bad. That's $13 million. Very doable for a team. Brian Burns, who was in a lot of trade rumors last year as well. The Panthers allegedly got an offer of 2 first-round picks, which I said immediately it was the Rams. The Rams were the one offering it because they're 2 future ones, and I believe that was eventually revealed to be the case, by the way. So 2 future ones would have been, it amounts to a 2nd and a 3rd, if you want to do future picks, or maybe 2 2s. They'd want at least a first back. Brian Burns is a premium pass rusher. They have the franchise tag option. If a team blows them away with the great offer, maybe they'll consider it, but I wouldn't get my hopes up if you want Brian Burns. Now, last year at the trade deadline, we saw a lot more movement than we are normally accustomed to seeing. I think the NFL should still move it back 2 weeks, but what do I know? Over or under 10.5 trades before this year's NFL trade deadline ends. O for over, U for under. It's the pinned comment on today's show. So go vote if that ad comes here on YouTube. A lot of Broncos players could make sense. Justin Simmons had some quiet buzz around him being a trade candidate. You know, with Budda Baker injured, he's not going to get moved. Simmons becomes the top safety. Denver's defense is kind of a mess. I think that's kind of more of a Vance's thing than like a talent thing. But Denver is looking for assets. They're going to try to do a bit of, it's not all in right now with Sean Payton. They can take a longer-term view. Now, I will put Aaron Donald on here. One big thing. This requires the Rams to kind of bottom out. The Rams right now are actually solid. Matthew Stafford's playing some really good football. They're 2-2. They probably should have beaten the Bengals right now on Monday Night Football in hindsight. But the Rams are competitive. As long as they are, Aaron Donald will not be going anywhere. If that changes for whatever reason, you bet teams are going to come calling. That would be the white whale potentially available at this year's NFL trade deadline. Now, we're brought to you today by Manscaped, and they are changing the game, not just in below-the-waist shaving, but for facial shaving as well. Their latest product is the Handyman. It's the best way to get rid of all that stubble around your neck, around your chin. If you're tired of a bad razor, whether it's old or you didn't take care of it properly or whatever, make your neck look like a scream with all these cuts and nicks and stuff, the Handyman helps reduce nicks and cuts thanks to its skin-safe technology. You can use it wet or dry, so you can bring this simple, sleek, compact device anywhere and everywhere. It's airplane-friendly design, by the way, which I value because if you go on vacation, I need to shave more than once every a week. You know, I have to shave a couple days. So I need to have it on vacation. Manscaped thought ahead on that one. Get 20% off and free shipping with code CHAT, C-H-A-T, over at manscaped.com/chat. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use that code CHAT. For a look as sweet as candy this Halloween season, get yourself the Handyman from Manscaped. It has been all trick this year for the Raiders, especially outside of Week 1. And Josh Jacobs, the latest player to express some anger with the way the Raiders season is playing out. Devontae Adams did at one point this year. Jacobs has raised his frustrations, and he wanted a new deal. Raiders did not give it to him. What's been the result? His yards per carry has fallen off of a cliff. It's averaging less than 3 yards per touch. Now, I think what in reality has been a downgrade at quarterback. Offensive line has some issues. All of these things tie in together as part of that whole conversation. But it has been a disappointment for Jacobs. And if the Raiders bottom out, McDaniels is never afraid to make trades of good players. He should consider one for Josh Jacobs and one for Davante Adams. Now, Adams, I think, could go to Mark Davis and be like, I'm pissed. Get me out of here. I don't want to be here. I don't like playing for Josh. I came here to play with Derek Carr. You got rid of him. We're not winning. I'm getting up there in age. Send me to a contender. It's doable-ish for the Raiders contract-wise and very doable for a new team, mind you. Adams, looks like Davante Adams still. He got a bit nicked up last week, but I think he'll be okay. You can pencil him in for 1,300, 400, 500 plus yards. He's awesome. I still think he'd be able to get a first-round pick if you traded him. So of those two big-name Raiders players, who is more likely to end up being moved? D.A. for Davante Adams or J.J. for Josh Jacobs? We actually have another J.J. here, which I didn't realize as I did this going into it. Jalen Johnson of the Chicago Bears. Bears are in a weird spot. They're bad right now. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL, and Jalen Johnson has not been paid yet. I think he's a really, really good corner, very talented football player. If the Bears aren't going to pay him, they should consider trading him because draft picks are valuable for that team right now. I'm fine paying Johnson, making him a key part of your defense, but the fact that they haven't yet does open up the door for this as a real part of the conversation. Now, especially as the NFL trade deadline approaches, we will have daily NFL videos for you guys. So make sure you are subscribed. Do not miss out. Hit that sub button right now. Kirk Cousins is also on this list, as he should be. If I were a team like the Jets, even though you're seeing better play out of Zach Wilson for one game, if you're the Falcons, who are not getting good play from Desmond Ridder at the current moment, adding a player like Kirk Cousins would go a very long way to getting the best results for your team. So if I were Minnesota, I would simply look into shopping him. I would look into getting him and maybe tanking. Now, Minnesota's not out of it yet. That makes it complicated. They've been a turnover-prone team, which is really awkward and weird that's been going on like that. It's unusual. But if the Giants were just to be like, you know what, we're going to bottom out. If they lose 2 or 3 of their next 3 or 4 games, I think it does make sense. You could then bottom out for a top-tier quarterback. Cousins is owed like $10 million by a new team. He could have some more success. I actually kind of think it's viable for both teams if Minnesota keeps losing games. So what do you think the Vikings should do with Kirk Cousins? Type in T for trade or K for you to keep him, hold on, try to make that final push down the stretch this year. Go vote in the comments section. Finally, it is Kyle Pitts. You knew he was going to be on here, right? Again, I don't think the Falcons are going to trade him. The Falcons' issue is quarterbacks. They should trade for Cousins and let him throw to Kyle Pitts and have great success. That offense is deadly all of a sudden, right? Actually deadly. Pitts' numbers are down. He's not being utilized. He had 1,000-yard receivers his first year. Do you know why? Because Matt Ryan was his quarterback. Since then, it's been Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. Pitts is a good football player. I get why everyone around the NFL wants him because he's awesome, but the Falcons are not going to give him away when they're in the playoff race themselves, and he's viewed as a piece whenever they get their quarterback plugged in. The pin poll of today's show: is Daniel Jones the answer at quarterback for the Giants? 77% voting no. Sip some water. A for yes, B for no. 77% say no. Producer Chris, yes or no? Is Daniel Jones the answer at quarterback?
That'll be a no.
Yeah, it's a no. He's not it. It's not all his fault, but he's not it either.
It really sucks because last year you started seeing him get better, and everybody thought Daboll was just, quarterback whisperer, and
it's all gone.
It's all gone. What happened? Kind of sucks for him.
I don't even think he was that great last year. I just think that they kind of like the Giants and Vikings are two massive regression candidates based on some of the underlying metrics. They've gotten there different ways. Giants have just straight up regressed. The Vikings can't hold on to the football. Bad defense too, but I'm sure we're at this stage for both those guys. So is DJ the answer? A for yes, B for no in the comment section. That is going to do it for us here on NFL Daily. We appreciate all of you who tuned in and subscribed, have been subscribed and all that stuff there. So if you haven't already, I'm guessing most of you have, but if you haven't already, hit that sub button for more free videos here on NFL Daily, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow.